into it where there's a lot of doubt of, don't know if this African company can actually do it. And then we deliver and they're blown away and I'm like, yes. And it's really just not a flawless celebration, but it's a celebration to our entire supply chain. My name is Yoadan Tilahun and I am the CEO and founder of Flawless Events. Initially what I loved about it was just being able to introduce the concept of event management to the market, especially within the Ethiopian market where event management on its own was not really appreciated. And with each event, clients would start to appreciate, oh, this is what it feels like when an event is properly organized. At the very beginning, it was really an opportunity for us to highlight what it means to do something properly. So it was, purely service oriented, and it was just great to see the market growing, Flawless being the standard for other event companies coming into the market, for suppliers to say, oh, you know what, I actually work with Flawless, and that was kind of an automatic reference to the quality of work that they do and so forth. So it's been fantastic just going through that. Now that the market has really grown and you have various suppliers, we really now have to focus for us as Flawless. What excites us is just beating our own standards. So it's basically saying, was this really flawless enough for us? Did this meet our standard? And then just pushing that limit every time and watching the team members grow within their skill set to make sure that they're competing with themselves to say, oh, last time I did ABC, fantastic, but E and F were really bad. This time I did A to F, fantastic, now I have to grow. It's no longer the market is where it is right now, but just watching them understand embody what it really means to be part of the Flawless team and just really growing. That's an exciting time. There have been a few, and I would say, for instance, I just recently did an event in Rwanda where it was a conversation around reconciliation and building peace and learning from the Rwanda genocide. Just watching, we had, I think, over 200 people flying for the first time into the continent and into Africa. And then being able to create an environment for them to have really genuine and heartfelt conversation where you could freely cry, connect, celebrate, and so forth. And all of that to be done by by a company that we played the background a lot in order for them to have that conversation. But at the end, everybody was like, it was so well organized that they didn't have to think about the stress of flying into Rwanda. Where are we going to stay? That was so well done that they were able to focus purely on the conversation. And unlike many other events, there was such an appreciation to the logistical part of what we did, even though we really tried to stay at the background. It was just humbling to see that. So that was pretty good. And then a whole bunch of other ones like UNIGF that had thousands of people attend and had complexities of like live streaming and various languages and closed captioning and sign languaging and so forth. And I absolutely love it when we're undermined going into it, where there's a lot of doubt of, don't know if this African company can actually do it. And then we deliver and they're blown away and I'm like, yes. And it's really just not a flawless celebration, but it's a celebration to our entire supply chain, right? So our suppliers for audiovisual, our technical team, our branding team, and so forth. So when I walk away happy, what I honestly say to the rest of the team is like, thank you for making us look good. Because they do, right? There's no ego in saying, oh, you know what? I want people to know I was the one who did the streaming. I'm the one who did it. Doesn't matter. It was like everybody comes behind Flawless and they do their absolute best so that Flawless can also succeed. So that was like a global event hosted in Addis, right coming out of the war. That just kind of put us at a level where they're like, okay, this is good. If you look at the events industry, or actually any industry within, especially I would say maybe US, but even mainly Western markets, maybe it's very silo, right? It's very specific service. And even when you contract, like everything is really listed out and you don't do anything beyond that. What I've realized is clients really have an appreciation for the fact that Flawless does beyond just coordination and management, but we can handle, whether it's the vendor management part, the, liaising with the venue and making sure things are well, talking to the catering company and coordinating that part, the branding, the audio visual. So when they talk to Flawless and realize, oh my God, it's truly a one-stop shop. Like I only have to deal with one company and then can actually take such a huge load off our shoulder. It's two ways, right? For me, it's like, well, of course we're gonna do that. Like, why wouldn't we? Like, why are you even asking? Or I automatically assume, of course we're gonna do that. And from the client side, it's like, oh my God, you're gonna do that as well, right? And so every time there is, well, do you mind if? And I'm like automatically thinking, well, we were gonna do it anyway. So I'm realizing that we actually take on a lot more than clients expect, or what the industry may have gotten clients used to expecting. And we deliver really well on each front. So I have no appreciation for what we do every time I go somewhere else. We also kind of forget that we do it because we don't actually offer it until the client asks for it. But we actually have in-house skill set where we help the client develop the brand identity of an event. So say somebody comes in and they're like, look, I want to do an event around, I don't know, the current currency float. And I want to call the event something around financing or financial issues. What we'll do is we'll help them actually create the identity of that event. So it's like, what should the logo look like? What other events are doing something similar globally? You know, what are some of the colors that speak to this industry and so forth. So we'll create the brand identity along with the logo and then make sure we can apply that across all the other assets that the event needs. And the client can actually walk away with that. We create an entire asset as an extension of the event that we're doing. And in addition to that, we have partnerships that allow us to do amazing digital marketing campaign from pre-event, during event, and post-event to tell the story of this event, of what it's going to cover, how did it go during the event, and then post-event, what does it look like? So it's that brand can then stay longer online. They have an asset they can walk away with, but there's also a way to tell a story about that event consistently that benefits the client. So we do those things, but until we're asked, we don't actually push it forward very well. Just even from the minute that terms of reference, or like a bid comes into our office and we look at what the client is trying to achieve, we spend so much time brainstorming and trying to figure out what this event should feel like. So it's not just it needs a screen, it needs a stage, it needs a flower, blah, blah, but it's more than, okay, what is this event about? Or what are they launching? Or what are they going to talk about? And how do we create that experience for not just the client, but the stakeholders coming to this event, from invitation to the minute that they walk in? What are some of the engagement elements? Every time their eye turns somewhere, how is the messaging being communicated? So we spend so much time brainstorming, researching, ideating around, let's set it up this way, it should look like that, and so forth. The pricing part is actually the easiest part. It's like coming up with these unique ideas that take a lot of time. So just putting the proposal together is one stressful point. Then you submit and the client might just say, oh no, this is too expensive. And you're going, but wait a minute. It's like, not even trying to charge you for the time that we spent developing it, but do you even understand what we're trying to deliver for you, right? So that's one. And then the other is just on a day-to-day basis, the amount of time we spend managing our suppliers. So it's, look, this is the vision that I've created for the client. You have to produce it to this level. Like there's no shortcut, right? Communicating with clients, problem solving with venues who suddenly want to double book the space that you have and so forth. There is visa issues, there are, programming matters that we look over sometimes and so forth. There's so many details, like the last part, the last mile that people get to experience, where we pretend to be calm and collected as people are walking around. On the back end, you still have a lot of fires that you're fighting. I think the amount of time spent in pulling this together is underestimated. The pre-event is, you plan for 6 to 7 months for an event that will last 2 days. And you're judged on those 2 days versus everything you had to do to make sure that to get to those 2 days. So it's, so an event is actually, that's cute. I'll be honest, look, so initially, even when the client said, oh, do you want to do Vienna with us? I was like, yeah, of course I want to do. And then after I walked away, I was like, I don't know anything about Vienna. What am I talking about? So there's always that fear element where I'm pretending to be all, confident about it. But walking into it and especially meeting the venue and the suppliers at the beginning, there's a moment where you're like, am I really sitting at the right table? And let's be honest, like most of the time I'm the only Black person around that table. So there's always this, because of the accent, if you just hear it on a superficial level, people think it's American. And then it's like, oh, you're from Africa. Oh, you're in Ethiopia. So now they're thinking, why is somebody in Ethiopia doing an event in Europe, right? So you learn to be really good at reading people's body, or body languages and their facial reactions. And you slowly build the relationship. So it's like you listen well, you give ideas and thoughts that will get you respected to make sure that, okay, she knows what she's talking about, type of thing, right? So the initial part is, how do you find the right balance between not bruising different egos, making sure that they can actually count on you to deliver on it. The clients are sold. Now you have to sell yourself to a whole new set of suppliers and so forth. But that was also great on their side, was like they were super organized. So in Ethiopia, we have such relationship with our suppliers that we can throw ridiculous amount of requests at the very last minute. And when I say last minute, it's like the night before, 2 days before, 3 days before. We're like, hey guys, okay, we have tons of productions to be done and blah, blah. And because of the relationships we have, they're like, yeah, okay, great. They will do overnight and get it done. Here it was like, I think a month before the event, they were like, we need all your design work. And I was like, wait a minute, why so early, right? Yeah. So then I'm trying to buy myself time, and I was sending them just the sizes of the things that we want. And on the back end, I'm working with our team who develops these things. And I was like, okay, we have a few days, can we get it done? And then as we're working through the different elements that we want, I've started to edit the sizes. So I'm like, oh, no, actually, I want this one to be 5x3 or whatever. So I send it, and then automatically they're like, so now we're like, I think a week or 10 days behind schedule. I'm profusely apologizing, but I'm still thinking, like, we're still 2 weeks out from the event. Like, why is it so? And they're like, this size has changed and this size has changed. And I'm like, yeah, I changed my mind. They're like, no, you cannot change your mind because the structure is already done. So we're just waiting for the artwork to print and be done with, right? I was like, okay, that's weird. And then the catering company, from the minute that we actually confirmed the menu, they were like, okay, what time is your coffee break? What time is your lunch? What time is that? And I'm like, I can tell you this like 3 days before. What's the big deal? They're like, no. So you give that schedule, and then they're done communicating with you, right? So we go 2 days before the event, and I'm like rolling my sleeve or ready to start. 80% of the work was done. And I was like, this is crazy. So I have an opportunity, a small window if I wanted to add things. But outside of that, they had printed everything, they had set everything up, stations were already done and so forth. So the way they work is very precise. It's like, okay, here's the floor plan. Where are the brandings that you want? What sizes do you want? And then they don't need you. And coffee is like, you've told them 9:30, you don't need to remind them again. At 9:25, they're ready. Everything is closed. At 9:29, it's still closed. At 9:30, they open it, they serve. You've told them until 9:50. At 9:50, they close it and they walk away. I was like, this is insane. So for the 5 days that I was there, I didn't have that much to do because everything was pre-planned and pre-done. And what I walked away with that was, we need to get there in Ethiopia. We have to be able to speak on deadlines, specific flow plans, specific work plan, and everybody should be able to do that independently as our suppliers rather than us hand-holding, right? So that was a huge learning curve. But just finishing that up at that event, and as we were saying bye to the different suppliers, they're very diligent about coming and saying, what could we have done different? How did we serve you and so forth? We're giving each other feedback, and their final feedback was, everybody needs to have a flawless event as their partner. And I was like, no way. And this coming from Austria, where I was blown away by how well organized they were, and they made my life easier. And they're going, you made our lives so much easier. And I was like, okay. Yeah, so it was an amazing experience. And I really came back and I was on the phone with my suppliers. Okay, listen, from now on, and the more they grow and the better they become, the more we have the bandwidth to do other things and not have to stress about different things on site. So that was a really good experience. Asia is our new frontier. Quite excited about that. So our next destination, first quarter, I think, of 2025 is going to be Singapore. Repeat destinations like Rwanda are definitely on the pipeline, and maybe new countries in Asia as well, as we keep growing through recommendations, which again is the most humbling way of growing. It's not the aggressive advertisement or whatever. It's more about a client saying, my God, what an amazing experience, I'm going to recommend you to so and so, and we just keep going with that. So it's a new frontier or a new country opening up, we're still nervous just because we want to make sure that it's done well, but then at the end it always just feels nice to say, yeah, a little African company did that. Team is getting stronger and growing. I'm quite excited to see them take more ownership and responsibility and just leadership. That's allowing me to step back a little bit more so I can figure out what's next for Yoadan. So I'm really actually quite proud of them on how they're just stepping up their game. For the first time in 17 years, right? Almost 17 years. I went on vacation and was actually offline for the first time in 17 years. And I actually warned the team, I said, I'm not taking my laptop. I'm not paying anybody online for nothing. Don't call me if the office is on fire. There is nothing I can do for you. So I'm like, before I leave, ask all the questions that you need to ask me, and then I'm offline for 10 days. And at first they thought I was kidding. I was like, no, I'm dead serious. And I've never rested like that. Like I would wake up and there would be no WhatsApp messages. I didn't have to look at my email. My out of office was, I'm out of office and I'm offline. And I stuck to it, and the team left me alone. And by the time I came back to the office, I was so energized and ready to work. You know how sometimes you need a vacation from the vacation? I was done with the vacation. So now that's my news, like I'm going to be taking about 10 days completely offline. It was just so, and I was even reading hard book, like paper books. It was like just no digital. It was the most refreshing break I've ever taken. So I'm looking forward to that as well, yeah. So, you know how it started was I get asked to be interviewed, like different, whether it's podcasts, magazines, and so forth. And the questions are very similar. Like sometimes I say, look, I've answered these same questions to somebody else. You can read it on there. Like you don't need me physically to answer these questions. And there's just certain things that you don't get asked as a woman, or they're very specific, like how do you balance motherhood with work? I'm like, I've never heard you ask that to a man. Like does he balance fatherhood with, or is there no responsibility expected out of, and I don't understand that, you know what I mean? So, and there, as I listen to other interviews, not just mine, but other women's, I'm always like, why aren't they asking her this or that and whatever? So when this, like as we were brainstorming around a possible event, I was like, I wanted to have meaning. I want people to come and walk away really like deeply understanding who this person is, because sometimes we also form assumptions about the people that we see in the limelight all the time. We think they have it easy, or whatever the assumptions are. And in conversations with business women especially, those points are not touched upon. So it was really my own curiosity, because when I sit with people, I ask a lot of private questions. Maybe good or not good, but I don't like superficial conversations. So for me, it was like, okay, I'm going to sit, if I'm going to take your time, I really want it to be meaningful and honest. And so it just started as, let's really have a balance. It's like the private, the business, the whatever of one woman, for people to understand what it means. Because when people, even in my own experience, when people get excited and say, oh my God, flawless, or oh my God, Yoadan, I'm like, my day-to-day is not that. Like my day-to-day is responding to emails, talking with the team, fighting with the team, getting upset with a client, whatever. Like the day-to-day does not, you don't walk into an office saying, oh my God, I'm famous. Like it's, it's just work. Yeah. And I wanted people to understand that, like, you may have formed an opinion about this person for whatever reason, but she is just, every day is a struggle, right? Whether in a good way or a bad way. So for me, leading in heels is to say, look, stop idolizing people. Really understand what it means to lead a company like Ride, or, to be somebody like Dr. Eleni, whatever. Like, really understand that everybody has the same challenges you have. You make choices on a daily basis. You make choices that affect your entire life. And as other people start to celebrate you, your day-to-day is still the grind. And so that's what Leading in Heels tries to show. It's You know, we may look like we have it all together. You know, you're wearing heels and you're going to meetings and other people are adoring you. But when you sit down and really listen to what that person is doing, you go, oh, this sounds so much like me, right? So it just kind of breaks it down to her. Before she joins AA, she gets a bottle of really good red wine, a nice movie, and then she sleeps a lot. Yeah, thank you.